I think it's right that Weyerhaeuser paid it.
I haven't seen him over here.
Or state of Oregon.
You never seen him.
Looked right through today. Because we were actually.
You ready for the pledge of allegiance?
I'm recording.
Sorry, we had. Yeah, sorry. Bye.
Just looking at the stuff I talked about.
Somebody read this? Somebody want to read this, please?
I read it last time, remember?
Did you?
It's Jessica's,
No.
Jessica's time.
Hey, one of you two want to read this, please?
I'll get another time about. Going more.
Sure, since I'm the one who's probably most in,
I'll read it next time, okay?
Promise,
I already
Huh?
took
I read
it.
this afternoon.
you did? Oh, okay, that's right, I was,
It's the long afternoon.
Third, like.
Yes, it has.
She makes a left turn.
the one that.
Okay, we'll call this council regular session to order. November 17th, the time is 7 PM. Please do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I've asked Councilor Berkeley to read our mantra.
I'm happy to. Reminder, we don't always live up to these things. I know that I wasn't on my best this afternoon, but I am proud to read this because we strive to meet these goals. I am on the city council as an advocate of quality and effective city services. I will do what I can to promote cost-sensitive and professional services to city residents and visitors. I will do what I can to promote a safe environment for business. It is my responsibility to contribute to a stabilized environment for the city. I am an opponent of uproar, dissension, and conflict. I believe in quality. Even routine, the greatest gift I can give to the city residents is to provide services that are. Every comment I make and every vote I cast will be motivated by the question, what is good for the city residents and visitors? What I want for my family is what I want for all patrons of the city. I will champion the city. I will compliment and reinforce often. I will suggest and recommend when necessary. I will support a majority position of the council. I may not agree, but once the vote is taken, I'm with the others. I will never come to a council meeting having made a promise to an individual. At all times, I will remember I am a city official whose purpose is to serve and represent others and to act on their behalf. Courtesy is a rule. Council meeting is a business meeting, not entertainment. It is not a social hour. It is not a question and answer session. It is a business meeting. I am busy. The council members and the mayor are busy. City staff and administrator are busy. Everyone is busy. This meeting, I will do what I have to do. I will do it as fast as possible. I will respect the time.
Ms. Berkeley. Yeah, we'll go ahead and open it up for visitor comments. Come up and state your name for the record. If you find them or less.
Colleen Noller again.
Byron Ollers, the other half.
You can only talk 5 minutes at a time, so you get your own 5 minutes. All right. So some things that I didn't get a chance to go over earlier in regards to this concerned vendors who are not really vendors in Halloween Town. I'm just gonna go over the booth costs really quick. So Our booth for basically 14 days for a food vendor is $1,150, which makes it $65 a day. A booth for the fair for 7 days is $500. That's for our fair. We don't have near as many people going to our fair as we have coming here. So it's basically twice the cost of the fair. We have more people coming here, but the fair also has to pay 25% of their sales for their booth. So people griping about the price of our booths is complete and utter BS. They have to pay a whole lot more going anywhere else for less coverage in our county than they have to pay for the 6 weeks out here. Okay. Parking during the events. I know that that's a big gripe, but the fact of the matter is we put signs everywhere. There are lighted signs. There are signs that say parking with arrows. The fact of the matter is people don't read. They don't listen. I don't know what kind of special thing they have going on in their head, but it's like the people who are in line getting their tickets at the information booth, even though the states we don't have one, which we do. I said that earlier. They are told what their tickets are for. They buy their tickets online and have listed what they're for. They're given a QR code on their phone saying what they're for. There's a recording playing saying everything that it's for, and they still come to me and ask me what they do for their $25 or their $20 or their $35, whatever. They flat out don't read. And special parking has been given to one business in particular, which is the hair place. So that way, if anybody parks there that's not supposed to, they're towed away. And I'm sorry, but if your entire year hinges on 1 month's worth of business, you need to budget better or find another salon. Because saying that they have no business in October is BS when 2 days out of the week they supposedly can't use parking, even though they've been given special parking. $65 a day, I did that. Oh, and as far as vending, getting a discount for return people, no, nobody else gives a discount. You think the Rose Festival gives a discount because people come back? They don't. The fair doesn't give a discount to people who come back year after year after year. We are not going to give a discount. That helps pay the city back for the money that comes out of the tourism to help pay for Halloween Town. So we're not giving them a discount. That's what helps pay for it. Why on earth would we do that? It makes absolutely no sense. Okay, parking, Jacksonville. 13 nights. Okay, that's all I got. Ooh, I did that in 3 minutes. Miracle of miracles. All right, you can start with my husband's 5. That's all right, I'm done. I got most of it earlier.
So yeah, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Byron, I'm her husband, King of Halloween Town. 12 Halloweens ago, I made the pumpkin for the plaza. That kind of started this ball rolling. And I didn't expect it to get this far along, this fast, actually. I never expected to see it grow this big ever. In the early days, it was hard. It was very difficult. We had $300 for a budget through tourism. Next year, we had like $3,000 for a budget, but then we blew it all on a lawyer because somebody got upset that Disney might get mad at us. So I contacted Disney and we got some referrals to them that said, you can do a tribute to Halloween Town. You cannot do anything that reproduces the actual scenes or characters. So we changed the pumpkin real quick just to make sure it was safe and within the guidelines. And they said you cannot use Disney licensed merchandise in advertising. So anybody who says we need to reproduce characters or reproduce scenes, we can't do that. We can't do that and we can't use it for promotion. So it doesn't work. I heard that's been suggested in this outline. No, can't do it. You want to get sued? Let's do it. Okay, but Disney was fantastic with us and told us, what we can do, and they gave us their blessing and have never bothered us since. Okay. That year with the lawyers involved, my wife and I actually paid for Halloween Town and ran it because there was no money left. We didn't spend a lot and we got, permits and things right enough by the city so we could do it. I think it came to like $174 or something for us, prizes and games.
But it was one day.
And people had a great time. And back then it was 1 day. So it's grown and grown and grown and it's growing quickly. So I haven't been to a meeting for August, I think. And there was discussion back then about how Halloween Town's fizzling out. We're at record numbers this year. I don't know how anybody could even come to a thought that it's fizzling out. It's kind of a silly idea. Last year, we couldn't really count it that way because it was COVID. We were only allowed 250 people a day. You can't use last year as a reference point, but this year, we have 60, 80,000 people come through. And if you think that doesn't have a big effect on the city as far as positive for the merchants, you're not thinking clearly. So if you're gonna do the right thing, we must go in the direction we're going. Do I agree with Tina with everything she does? No, I don't. But you know what? She carried this as far as the grade. If you want to try to bring in somebody else who has no idea the rules, but what we have to do, that'd just be stupid. What I will challenge council to is to stop creating tension. Stop listening to the STP, the same 20 people that bitch about everything that goes on in the city. It's the same people, same names come up every time. You know? But I would challenge you, instead of working with those people, maybe go up to Tina and the helpers, the people who are involved in these events, and say, hey, what can I do to help? Or say, hey, that was great, nice job. Okay, as your employer, technically that's what we are. I would tell you to do that, period. I've seen a lot of positive things from Halloween. The only negative I find outside of this room. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and you can respond to me. I don't mind the 5 minutes. You can burn some of that out.
We've actually kept that to a minimum nowadays. Yep. That was a council decision a while ago. But yes, we've had lots of discussion on this today. Thank you.
One more quick thing on my vendor meeting. It talked about having a meeting with the vendors. The last time we did this, which was not last year, the year before, we had 4 vendors show up and we were one of them. So to have, say that you have to have a vendor meeting beforehand to find out what the vendors want, they don't show up. They don't show up, there's no meeting.
Any other visitor comments?
I meet you.
Please give your name for the record and keep it to 5 minutes.
Christina Sullivan. So if I read fast, I apologize. It is disappointing to have to address the council in this manner, as I feel like there are other things happening in our community of more importance. But I felt it essential to address the letter that was read into record during public comment last meeting. The letter from Callie Ross about myself and the other workers that had interactions with this individual concerning ADA access. We were approached by an aggressive individual who insisted that we stop helping others and give her our attention immediately. We took time to explain to her about all the accessible activities to which she said she had already participated in and enjoyed, but was upset about the 2 that were not accessible. We apologized to her that she was surprised by the lack of access and even offered to help carry the chair up the stairs or load it onto the bus. She demanded a refund, and the event coordinator gave her a full refund at that time. There were other negative things mentioned about our volunteers and her supposed interactions with us, so I was surprised that we were not consulted about our perspective. It was assumed that someone who does not even live here was fully in the right. My counsel, who is supposed to represent me and the other workers that live here, took her word as truth and did not bother to speak with us or reach out to us to hear about our experience with this individual. But even if you had asked us, we would have shared with you about all the positive experiences we had with the many other ADA customers who attended. We chalked up her nasty behavior towards us to be because it was pouring down rain and everyone needed a little sunshine that day. Because of how we were portrayed in the email, I felt it important to share with you how incredible our workers are. The time they took away from their families to give back to their communities is priceless. Weekly, they showed up with smiles on their faces as they interacted with thousands of people, repeating over and over instructions on bathrooms, activities, schedules, and answering the same questions while maintaining an amount of patience and a smile. They listened intently to guidance from public health on how to maintain COVID safety, and they worked hard without complaint. Workers typically mimic the leadership they follow, and the behavior and positive attitudes of those who work spoke volumes about the crew in charge. As the manager of the main alcohol sponsor at the event, it was disheartening to hear the comments earlier today. We partnered with the other alcohol sponsor to coordinate an approved OLCC license for an open container area. Our license was signed off by the city, and we maintained our area as required by the OLCC. We provided 5 alcohol monitors each week to work along with multiple signs to serve as a barricade. Our bartenders gave direct communication with all those who purchased from us about the space they were allowed to drink it in. This might come as a surprise, but there were other businesses downtown near the event area that were selling alcohol, some selling it in an event fashion with no event license. We too had a huge problem with turning away individuals who were trying to bring in outside alcohol to the event. These drinks were purchased at several of the local businesses downtown where clearly there was no concern about the alcohol walking off their premise. Our OLCC on-site manager even spoke to one of the restaurants about the fact we were seeing open containers leave their space, and it was shrugged off as not an issue. I was completely taken aback to hear Plymouth Pub present the situation to you in the way that they did, as we spoke to them and brought in more monitors to appease their concerns. In fact, one of my monitors was even thanked by their management staff for the work that he was doing to contain the event alcohol. There was also a presentation today about vendors for Halloween Town. As a mom who has helped run a vendor booth for the last several years at Halloween Town and several other city events for dance team members, 4-H groups, softball and youth football team members, I have to say that what was presented to you does not represent how I felt this season or the past 4 seasons have gone. We, along with 90% of the other vendors, were not asked to participate in this venture to change things. And I would hope for any future discussions that all vendors would be included. As someone who was a leader in several events for several years, including 13 Nights on the River and 4th of July, I can tell you that no event is perfect and you will never please 100% of everyone. It is impossible. In my experience, I have been screamed at, cursed at, badmouthed, and even had someone spit in my face. But I chose to see the bigger picture and find the positive. Can the council do this? In conclusion, I know I speak for myself and the many other individuals who come to Halloween Town this year when we say how incredibly thankful we are for Chris, Tina, and E2C Productions. Their attention to detail, their ability to breathe life into our community, and their true desire to support and empower the small business community is an extreme asset and of a huge value to us. It is safe to say that they might even love our little town more than most people who live here. So to Tina and Chris, I say thank you. Thank you for continuing to show up even when it is hard. Thank you for the countless hours that you worked to make sure that things were done right. Thank you for your positive attitudes and contagious smiles despite all the bullying and attacks. Thank you for loving our community so big and for doing everything in your power to make us successful. We see you and appreciate you. Thanks for your time.
Other comments? Your mantra seems to me like it's a to-do list of bad behaviors that you want to accomplish at each meeting. Disrespect. You state your name for the record. Sorry, Brady Pran. Disrespect the mayor, check. Waste your time, check. Revisit the same item again and again and again, despite the fact that we made a decision on it and claim that we're going to always support those decisions, check. Opponent of uproar, check. Predictable service, the fact that you're having again a meeting about continuing to change Halloween Town when you've already made this decision again, check. I'm also sort of disappointed about the policy of not wanting to read letters into the public record. Well, I'm sure that this will make Kathy happy. I thought it was a great idea. Curly, you don't. Maybe that's what happens when you let an inexperienced counselor make an on-the-fly decision without any debate or thought process behind it and what those consequences could be going on forward. As for the feedback from the woman from the Boy Scouts, Nicole, I believe is her name, I would like to remind the city that according to the IRS, you are not an independent contractor if you perform services that can be controlled by an employer. What will be done and how it will be done. This applies even if you are given freedom of action. What matters is that the employer has the legal right to control the details of how the services are performed, period. That means that you are not an independent contractor. So if you implement any of the ideas that came to you this afternoon in your PowerPoint, you have made the tourism contractor an employee. And you would probably owe them hundreds of thousands of dollars in back pay, hourly wages, and PERS. I would like to put together a slideshow myself about the high cost of gas and groceries and want the city to do something about it. That would be about as useful as that presentation was because you have no control over those items and you don't have control over how the tourism contractor
runs this event. They are abiding by the terms of your contract and you need to leave them alone. I would also like to point out that asking for a discount for a nonprofit sort of does offend me. Nonprofits typically have more money than a for-profit business. Biggest expense for most businesses is labor. They don't pay labor. They get volunteers. Are the Boy Scouts being paid? No. Do they have to pay taxes? No. How many other businesses or nonprofits did you give $500 for that then they didn't even bother to use? I don't understand what why the tourism director is also supposed to be promoting an event that she was asked about with the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is a group of organizations which I've supported, I've been the president of, but they are not about tourism. They are about the local economy and the local businesses. That is not the focus of tourism. Doesn't seem to me that by even asking the question that you understand what tourism is and what its functions are. I also was interested to know about, Councilor made comments about, complaining about a counselor who's lied on the public record and bringing it up. Yeah, I'll continue to bring it up. If you come and you lie on the public record and say you have a list and you don't, then yes, I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to bring it up again and not let you forget that you've done nothing. You at least had a decency to censure Steve for part of the reason that he lied on the public record. And while I'm happy that you held him accountable, it seems like now you might be willing to say we're going to forget about that. And one of the comments was, well, gee, maybe he made a bad comment to Alicia Scholl. Was there anything else? Well, I think even one violation of his censure agreement, including his attempts to blackmail the city by telling you, oh, I have a really big developer. If you remove my censure, I can bring him to you. That's just not a reason to remove the censure. It's a reason to make his censure stronger and last longer. Thanks.
Any other visitor comments? Any? There's no matter. Okay, first reading, ordinance number 3272, an ordinance to annex and designate the zone of certain property at 58241 South Division Road. And also a first reading would be ordinance number 3273. 35285. Resolution number 1939, a resolution to adopt the City of St. Helens Stormwater Master Plan.
I move we adopt item number 3, resolution number 1939.
Second.
Resolution adopting St. Helens Stormwater Master Plan.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the
Comment.
to adopt. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, looking at it, there were some factual problems with it. I wanted a better discussion with it. I mean, factual problems with what's here. They do know there were problems in the system. Is that going to be corrected? Obviously, some of the stuff, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. And the fact that there's some problems with some of the pipes or pipes that are not indicated. But,
I don't know about pipes not indicated on there, but there
There's a
are
bunch.
pipes that are highlighted in red and little chunky sections. And as explained, those would be the ones that would be addressed, that are a priority or a pinch point that we need to address.
well, as I say, there are a couple of things that are technical, and there's a lot of stuff here.
Anybody else, is that what you gathered from our presentation? Anybody?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The presentation was made 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
The problem is, what I'm trying to find out is how are the things that are not indicated on here gonna be taken care of? Or are we just not gonna take care of them because they're not indicated here? Is this a totally complete picture, or is there gonna be modifications to this?
That is a total complete picture of our storm system.
So if there's stuff that's wrong that's not on here, you're not gonna fix it.
What is wrong?
Yeah,
Well, there's a couple of pipes that are in the ground that are not indicated.
So I'm wondering, Councilor Topaz, why you did you not catch this 2 weeks ago.
I brought up that we had a problem. I'm a little more specific right now. The plan has gotta be done. I'm wondering about modifications to this plan.
What pipes are you referencing, just so we know?
There's some pipes that, you know, the old Dillard Lake?
Yes,
There's some pipes that come out of there that were not put in by the city prior to 1900.
so they're located on Columbia Boulevard and Second or Third Street.
These are these are the old Dillard Lake is basically cutting across what is now St. Helens Street. It's a blank piece coming down, cutting across Fourth into the area down between Third and Fourth. They're tile pipes.
Are they currently part of the system being?
No,
used?
no, they're
So
not.
then I don't understand
Okay,
why.
but they're still draining water, is what I'm saying.
I think that this was a study of the system that we have in place and improvements, and that there might be those pipes or other pipes, not probably the system, maybe they're draining it, but I think that when they're looking at the, I don't know, hydraulic. So I don't think that is frankly, Councilor Topaz. You can bring up your concerns, but I don't know that it's relevant to.
When you pump 3,000 gallons of water out of it so you can work on a hole, and it's not on here, it's a problem. Those pipes were superseded by the 1913 sewer system, but were never removed.
I thought I recalled that they stated that there was some pipes that were not on there due to obstructions and things like that. True?
So
That was to be expected, though, I don't know.
well, the question is, what do we do with them? Do we leave them there when we run into them? And there's some pipes that were extended. And there's some other changes that were made. A little bit here and there.
As we go through this and we highlight and start working on those problem areas that are red, I'm sure that those things will work their way out, right? I mean, I would assume that that's how.
Well, we made the assumption too, but we ran into it because of something else that was happening. That's what I'm pointing out. And I think the facilities department will talk about some of the wooden pipes they dig up because they're not on the paperwork.
I suggest that we go ahead with this ordinance and give Counselor Topaz some leeway to talk through organizing it through Mr. Walsh and our Public Works Director and our engineer to ask them specifically about that. But in the meantime, these projects keep getting backed up. And
But I
now,
don't,
hold on, let me finish. People in our community start to complain about why the city is so slow about doing things. And specifically about the kind of issues like this. So I just like to streamline it and approve this ordinance. And then allow you some time to ask some questions. And if there are problems, we can talk about it as time goes on.
well, what I'm trying to do is say, this is the majority of what has to be done. If other things show up, are they exempted from being worked on? Or are they taken care of when we find them?
I think we've got a very professional staff with our Public Works Director, our engineer, and between those two and our city manager, I think you have a good team to communicate with.
Well,
But again, so these are our, this is our storm system, what is laid out there, unidentified pipes, and again,
And there are mistakes in here, but not big mistakes.
So-
But if it's on paper and you don't change it at all, the mistake continues.
well.
I want to know if there's any freedom in fixing this.
So what you're saying is your research has been done and you have located some pipes that are not city owned that were put there by Boise. back
No, it
on-
wasn't Boise, hold it, Boise.
Okay, so, but again, we're coming back to the stormwater issue at Counselor Topaz's house, which Dillard Lake would drop into. Well, again, we're touching that area and this has been a conflict of interest before. And it seems to be coming back again. If you're familiar with where Dillard Lake is, actually has been filled in quite a bit over the years. Old Portland Road between 4th and 6th Street. Or on the right-hand side as you're heading out, or left side as you're heading down. 6, look out there.
And it was really with toxic waste.
Again,
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Counselor Topaz, my understanding with this plan and like with our St. Helens Industrial Business Plan and every like master plan that we have approved, that it is a vision for the future. It presents a 20-year vision for the future and prioritizes things. But then each individual project is going to be taken care of as we take care of that project. So when those conditions, specific conditions to that specific project are encountered, as Councilor Warren says, our public works staff, our engineering staff will deal with it accordingly.
we have
Okay, the question is, they will deal with it as compared to stay exactly with what's written here. Okay, that's all I wanna know. If it can be modified as compared to being cast in concrete with no absolute changes.
No master plan, Councilor Toy, I think I'm trying to say, no master plan is ever concrete.
So we have one of our engineers on the Zoom watching this because this is what she was part of. Sharon is on our Zoom if you'd like to.
I also have a point I wanted to share about master.
Yes, we can hear you, Sharon.
Hi, Counselor Topaz, I was kind of wondering what specific pipes that you're talking about that you didn't see on the master plan?
They run north and, they run east and west from about the middle of Sixth Street. Actually, they go through some backyards and they end up just short of the apartments. They're perpendicular to the old sewer lines. And they're 8-inch bell and tube pipes.
Okay, so,
We've had, when we were digging back there, the other city engineers were back there and we got good pictures of it. But they're running water, as they say, just to work that hole, we pumped a little over 3,000 gallons out of it.
okay, so one of the things that, and I think Councilor Berkeley did a really good job in explaining what the master plan is looking at. So we're looking at the expansion of the system and in improving certain problem areas, specifically with trunk lines and stuff like that. So when it comes to the smaller lines, those are things that we usually address in-house, and you wouldn't necessarily find those on the master plan, if that makes sense.
That's what I'm trying to establish.
Okay,
So they will be worked on, but only the very large pipes are being worked on for the
so
master
yeah,
plan.
so the large pipes is something that we address because we're looking at the system as a whole, and so the master plan itself doesn't take in every single branching storm pipe. It's looking at the large pipes, it's looking at large areas, and the smaller areas and stuff that's more operations and maintenance, it's not necessarily going to be on the master plan.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to establish. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Sorry,
Walsh,
I just wanted to add a little bit to that, and you did a great job, but yeah, all of our plans are about addressing future capacity system, right? There's the little details that every little nuance is there. But it's also, and you know, equally, probably more importantly sometimes, is because it's the foundation for our capital improvement plans and, you know, priorities, the ability to track funding for plans that are high priority to our community. So we can leverage that plan to, and now is a really good time to do that. So that this stormwater, wastewater, all this infrastructure money's out there, we need to have these plans on the shelf ready to go. So that was, they're important.
Yes. Thank you, Sharon. She's a hard working watching this from home. All right, so any other discussion on resolution 1939? I have a government motion, Councilor Berkeley seconded, Council President Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Topaz.
Aye.
Councilor Chilton.
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, resolution number 1940, a resolution adopting the City of St. Helens wastewater master plan.
I move that we adopt item number 4 on the agenda, resolution number 1940, resolution adopting the St. Helens wastewater master plan.
I second.
Discussion,
Yes.
same thing, that I would like to eliminate that this is the large pipes, the funny small stuff will also be attacked under a different cover. As can be, as compared to being totally excluded.
I concur.
I've never heard that. You're big on council.
That's the way it
Good
works.
idea.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, there's been a motion made and seconded to approve resolution 1940. Council President Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Topaz.
Aye.
Councilor Chilton.
Hi.
Councilor Berkeley.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
We skipped ordinances.
No, those were first readings.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was so.
We got one more to go. Okay, approve and authorize for signature, 5 infrastructure design work, order number 1 for with McKinsey for St. Helens Industrial Park in 5-6 contract payments.
I move that we approve and authorize for signature the infrastructure design work order number 1 with McKenzie for St. Helens Industrial Business Park.
Second.
And contract payments.
Oh, and the contract payments.
Okay.
5 and 6.
And did you second it?
Yes.
Okay.
Discussion. I want to stop the design work on the, by McKinsey on the industrial park. And I'll tell you why. This last week, last Wednesday, we had a meeting about the waterfront parkway, basically the pathway by the architects. And it was very well laid out, and a couple of things were found out at that time. I just passed out, took off John Walsh's desk, kind of the vision of the plan what the pathway
Sounds like this.
was going to look like. The actual plan that was presented is 35 feet wide from the very edge, just along the water's edge. But that has its problem. There's a design problem we're gonna take care of. The other problem that was, or the other feature, was the roadways that you see in this picture, which are 30-some feet wide, were narrowed down to 6-foot paths.
Councilor Topaz, this is the
Industrial.
waterfront, the agenda item is on the. industrial
Let me finish. Let me finish. The presentation, we found out that the pathway was 6 foot wide, which totally changes the cost of this. The point I'm making is, we were not told that there was gonna be a major design change going into that meeting. A 6 foot wide path, 400 foot long versus a 30-foot changes fire hydrants, fire building. We were also told during that meeting that the Marine Board did not really encourage motorless.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, but you realize, but this is actually.
No, I'm getting to that. Just wait a minute, just wait. So I called the Marine Board up and asked them about that, and they told me the opposite story. I talked to the director. Now, I've seen this here, the one thing that was not shown by our architects is there's gonna be a wall next to this walkway. So the words that have been presented to the council, the public, when we had this actual meeting, were totally different. Now, the question I want to double check is, are the plans for the industrial park exactly what it says here, or are they totally different? I've talked to the port, and they would like to be able to come out of the back of their property into what we call the White Mill and come out Kaiser Road.
That's in there. It's in another development phase of this, and so, yes, I mean, we've talked about this a number
Yeah,
of
but
times.
it's not,
Council talked to the port 4 years ago.
no, yeah, but this was about
There's a 50-foot easement.
six days ago.
There's a 50-foot easement that we didn't have to go through all of this
Wait a
education,
minute.
this much.
Okay,
It was a simple phone call.
let's go back to what we were told and what this other thing came. I'm gonna tell you something else we were told. And this is what scares me about this plan being kind of funny. And back to insurance, because of, we're building a police station down there. And we have a problem with flood insurance because of the 100-year flood plan, which changes, we only have one entrance shown on our design. It could be a couple of ways in, but shown on the design is one entrance right now. That affects the insurance of all those companies because there's only one way in and one way out. Back to something we weren't told. And this, I'm now pushing the fact that we haven't gotten correct information. The city is being sued by Boise for a number of problems with the Happy Power, actually the marijuana place. The city has just been sued again by Boise for expenses. There's been a ruling, which we haven't been told about, that says the sale to the marijuana place is null and void because of procedure. The appeals case, which is down in Salem, should have been brought to the council so the council can tell our attorneys to go forward. Without a definitive direction, we, the council, are violating the law. Now, what I found, the reason I've got that information is I got it from the courts. So this last week, I've gotten a lot of information that does not correlate with what I've been told in these meetings. That's why I'm so worried.
Councilor Topaz, there were probably well over 20 issues that you laid out before us. And you laid them out because you felt that you were not attuned to any of those and you were lied to or whatever. But I can remember just one of them that I'm going to pick up on was the in and out of the safety facility that is designed for the off of 18th Street and St. Helens Street or St. Helens Old Portland Highway. Okay, so that facility does have, and I sat right here and watched it. I forget who gave, I think it was Jacob who gave the presentation, that there is a road and an easement that will be designed, hasn't been in the design yet, but it's there for ingress and egress to that safety facility, or they never would have went ahead with it in the first place, knowing that it could be in the 100 flood zone. So I sat through that presentation. I don't know where you were.
I got the same procedure, but you just described it. It wasn't designed yet. It could be there. This piece of paper is what we're going to do. It's, from an engineering point of view, this gets to be very definitive. There's some engineering mistakes in there, into details that should be looked at.
All right, Council Berkeley is wanting the attention of.
So
Sorry.
Councilor Topaz, I don't want to ever, I don't want to downplay concerns, legitimate concerns about things, but I think the issue that causes the tension is I believe that one way to address these issues, and I don't know, is to, as you get this information, to provide it to staff, to ask to share with council before we discuss it. Right? I mean, that it is an option to.
No, it's not. I've done that before and I've gotten caught here. That's, this business about Topaz being unethical, but he ended up not being unethical. There was things I've tried to put on the agenda well before I was censured that were taken off. I've been trying to get some stuff before you were on the council, to the council, and I was told by our attorney, you can't do that because of meeting laws. We have a floating stand here, and I'm trying to point out that there are a couple of details in here that are a problem. There's a lot of things that are not.
So why are you so angry?
Well, I'm not particularly angry, I'm trying to be
You're
definitive.
coming across as.
Well, that may
pretty
be,
Angry right now, yeah,
but one of the things is the
so.
council has not been told about the legal status.
I did ask you a question, so I appreciate that I don't
That's right.
have a dialect with you, but I would like to speak a little bit on this. Again, you are dropping bombs like you continue to do.
That's correct.
Yeah, because you went as far as grabbing these off John's desk. You went
In the
that far.
newspaper, too.
You went that far as grabbing these off John Walsh's desk. And dropping these bombs, but dropping this bomb on us. You clearly put it together. You spent a lot of time on it. And there's no doubt that you're not a smart man, but you have really literally tried to jumble about 5 different things into one while you're not going to approve an infrastructure design for McKinsey on the industrial park on the first phase because our police building is getting lifted up to a 500-year floodplain, a 500-year.
But the road is,
Wait a minute. The road is well above the 100-year floodplain. The road is well above the 100-year floodplain. As a city building being in a 500-year floodplain, you have to meet certain requirements or you can't, insurance purposes. More likely not going to, but we are going to build it up. And it has 2 ways in and out of that building that he is referring to.
but the mill doesn't.
Again, allow me to speak, please. I have never seen the creek come close to even flooding the gravel parking lot well before the road in my lifetime. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that are probably your age that would testify that creek stays within its bounds. And so you always want to bring up history. You want to talk about the little old lady this, little old lady that. Sometimes I'm trying to follow where you're going, Council President. All we're trying to do is move a city forward and open up some industrial, the first phase, starting from Old Portland Road, because you're getting me frustrated. It's been a very long day. We have been here since 1. We took a break at 5. We ate real fast. We're back at it at 5:30. We took a 6:45 break. You continue to waste our time, as the mantra says, on bringing this stuff here. Every one of these last 3, resolution 1931, 1940, and now we're approving authorized for signature. You have debated. And rightfully so, but you had every opportunity to talk to Sharon. You did this.
No, I wasn't allowed.
Have the opportunity.
That is
Counselor
BS.
Topaz,
Wasn't allowed. See, he wants to point fingers.
Again,
I'm at my, and again, he knows he's getting to me, and I'm at my wit's end right now.
Can I finish?
No, you can't.
I'd like
Okay,
to,
thank you for pointing out about our rules.
Well, Councilor Topaz,
Can I finish?
go ahead with whatever you want to finish. Okay, I'll kick back and
Okay, good.
go ahead.
Talking about the 100
Show us
year,
how bright you are.
talking about the 100-year flow
You're not the only one who can get angry.
Okay, and I've talked to some old people, and they've never seen the water get up that high, just like you said. But they said, ridiculous as it is, it's the rules that govern the stupid situation. The rules govern the insurance. The rules say because it's the floodplain, that's the only way in and out, and it's basically blocked because of the floodplain. Not the fact there's ever been water there. So these are little technical engineering problems. And this is what, like the closing that 30-foot walkway down to 6 foot changes the insurance tremendously.
All right.
All of those things.
I call the question.
Yes, yes. So he's calling for the vote.
Can I finish?
No, the council has
Okay,
called.
well, that's how I would love,
Thank you.
I would love for you to point out how we run this operation. Thank you.
Council called it. That's how the operation runs. All right. Council President Morton,
Yes.
Councilor Topaz, Councilor Chilton,
Yes, with the understanding that this is the beginning stage. Let's talk.
Councilor Berkeley.
Yes.
All right, and I am a yes as well. Okay. Again. Apologize to the public. It has been a very long day and you can see what we're dealing with. And I apologize for my behavior. Consent agenda for acceptance, 7, amendment number 2 to Mayor Reed Inc. agreement to include archaeological survey. 8, library board minutes dated October 11th, 2021. 9, planning commission minutes dated October 12th, 2021.
I move that we accept consent agenda items number 7, 8, and 9 as read.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 7, 8, 9. Discussion? Hearing none, Council President Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Topaz.
Aye.
Councilor Chilton.
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, consent agenda for approval, council work session, executive session, public hearing, and regular session minutes dated November 3rd, 2021. 11, animal facility licenses. 12, accounts payable bill list. And that's it. So if somebody wants to make a motion. Please make a
I make
motion.
a motion that we accept consent agenda for approval items 10 through 12 is read.
I second.
Thank you, Councilor Chilton. All right, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 10 through 12 is read. Discussion? All right, Council President Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Topaz.
Aye.
Councilor Chilton.
All right.
Councilor Berkeley. Aye. I'm an aye as well. Okay, work session items. I don't think we had anything, so I'm gonna go to city administrator report. John Walsh.
Okay, all right. Not a little faster than I thought.
Ready to go?
No pressure.
Okay, well. Thank you. We're carrying forward from the workshop, so some of the stuff is a little bit out of order perhaps, but yeah, we had a big day with tourism today, talking about a lot of good things. I think this, all told, it was a pretty healthy dialogue back and forth, and perhaps a good place to, put it all back together again. So we'll be working on that. And, I was thinking earlier today that if this was your first opportunity to come to a council meeting, you would think that tourism was the only thing the city ever did. So not the case. So it reminded me of us saying that, what we notice and focus our attention on determines what we miss. And there's just so many other things we do at the city that are really important and meaningful to people's lives. The quiet things of, clean water and state sewer and, streets and filling potholes and, the whole gamut of public services and libraries and it's all part of what we do at the city as part of the community, and reflecting on the session packet today of 600 pages is kind of a demonstration of that work, and none of it was about tourism. I got a request from Toy and Joy. They were former Chief Jay Tapton. They typically every year ask for a couple of utility billing credits, $2 $100 utility billing credits to help do that. So it's a virtual auction this year, and they have some revenue goals, and just, I'm not sure if it's an action item or not, but it's something we've done. We've done it for years, and I just wanted to make sure we talked about it. Council knew about that. So if there's any, make the reason that's not a good idea, we can talk about that. So we've supported a letter of support to the River Fire Rescue District about a utility off-road vehicle, basically for them to do emergency calls in the woods in our watershed and things like that. Usually, sometimes we are requested to do very timely letters of support for our partners, and we do them like it's an after the fact thing that I do councils. Requesting that, I had a long conversation with the state parks director about that. Good opportunity there. Earlier, I mentioned that the Great Cliffs Park down there has an opportunity to potentially receive some dredge materials and sand from the river. This is something we did years ago. We actually had an opportunity years ago to go over there to Sand Island, that we reached out and said, hey, Army Corps, Port Portland, how about giving us about 15 feet of sand on that north end of the beach to have people nicer entrance to the water and less muddy and things like that. And they were very supportive to do it. We just didn't have the permits in place. And So this is a little different proposal. It's the marinas, St. Helens Marina working on a 5-year plan, so it would not, it's when they do that dredging, they can that material, and my understanding that there's some planning and testing and things of that nature, so it's safe, clean material. Goes uplands as a qualified disposal site, so, and it's up to 5 years, so if some gets washed away, they can do some more dredging, they can throw it back up there. There's a little bit of work to do. We've reached out to the Green Board, we've reached in their plans as far as putting the dock down there, the fishing dock and the all abilities access into the river there, and make sure those things are all compatible.
Question? Was there any discussion, John, on the type of material
Yeah,
that
that's
will,
what I was
that we're going to, that will be
Like mud.
dressed up? If it-
Like
if
with
it's
mud, if it's that ankle mud, I don't want it, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's,
The kind of
that-
material that's in.
because it's kind of down there,
Yeah, there is some.
yeah,
Is it from the marina?
yes.
It would be from.
Because the marina was dredged out about 2 years ago, so whatever washed in, it may be that sand that comes off.
Hopefully it's sand,
Yeah, and then if it's not suitable, Phil, we'll figure it out.
But as they say, that
landfill.
whatever moving, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna,
You'll notice that the project on 7th Street there with the relevant buildings is substantially complete. There's a few outstanding things to do. And this has been a real lesson for the contractor. We had a report a few months ago about where he's at, but the buildings really look nice, and he would like to, there's a lease amendment to make the lots legal to sell. This is all kind of brand new stuff. There's some cleanup issues about the parking lot and how that's owned, and essentially what it means is they're proposing to, because they're building a parking lot that serves their parking needs and also provides parking needs as part of this public-private partnership, that it would be better, I agree with this, that it'd be better that they own all of it,
Yes.
and then have, because they have better enforcement tools as a
That's
third
right.
party than us, and right now that's not what it says. We're making some changes like
that
that.
is absolute, that would be no different than what we're trying to do with boats.
Yes. And yeah, the docks is another thing. We have our dock.
Yep.
Committee with the kiosk and the cameras and the enforcement tools is, we have a meeting scheduled for doodle poll that went out December 14th. So that's a few days after Christmas ships, which be really diligent about going down and making those docks, assuring the ship folks that there will be no boats other than Christmas ships on those docks, because it really, the way that they're packed in there is really tight, and it's important that the docks are completely clear. And this was it's been a really. I wanted to talk about the library director recruitment process. Our beloved Margaret Jeffries will be leaving us in February. We have a recruitment put together, the notice is out. And so what we were thinking about is positions noticed, advertised as open until filled. And the thought was that we do a first round interview, two panels. I have a breakdown of the panels. I just got this today. What that might look like. And basically somebody would come on, they go into one panel, they switch over, go to the other panel. The panel has different compositions. And then we get narrowed down to 3 or 4 candidates that we want to have interviewed. And that would, I would do that. Then we bring them in on the second interview, they come here, we do a day of orientation, a lunch with the candidates, tour the town and facilities. And then do the interviews the next day we're looking like January 18th is the day we're looking at right now for that. And the council would meet and interview and make their decision if either decide to go with who they find or start over on a different process.
And then the following day would be our regular council meeting. If we decided that we had done something, we could make an announcement.
If we don't find somebody, we'll
Make an announcement.
make an announcement and keep on going. So, and it's one of your jobs as a council is to make those people you hire are what often what makes this organization succeed. So
It's since you'll be working with this person and you're working with other individuals that since you were team the city manager, I would kind of entertain a discussion about having John voice his concern in the discussion and or vote in along with the council when we go through the discussions. You'll be the man working with this new person. So
Yes.
that's the reason for me saying that, is that I see some merit with that. And especially what John has to offer in terms of perspective and discussion in talking about it. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. We can talk about it later on.
Thank you. Yes, the governing policy does say the council and city administrator are to take part in that process, and I totally appreciate being able to pick the executive team. That's a big part of that process. External, I'm on both the Oregon City Managers Association Board and also League of Oregon Cities Board. I'm going to be the League of Oregon Cities Finance Committee Chair in 2022. We had a meeting earlier right before all of these meetings this morning, if you can believe that. So and, I'll be out tomorrow and the next day attending an OCCMA board retreat.
Nice.
Lots of good stuff going on. All our projects are advancing, and we had the technical advisory committee with the Riverwalk was just
Yes, part of mine. Quick.
excellent meeting. I'll stop right there.
Okay, what I have to report on is, we, Council Topaz sat through on the technical advisory committee meeting. Want to thank also Dan Carey, who's on our planning commission, who was here on his day off. That's just and it was a huge help, and we took 2 on-site tours of the property and narrowed down some areas that were kind of the gazebo was an issue where it was placement, and we came up with what we think will be a really good solution to the answer, and talked about the other gazebo placement, and then we talked about a little bit in the other phases, but
And getting rid of that one pavilion.
yes, yep, and so it was really good to get them out here on site and there were some things that just came to light that were really, really everybody's like, oh, aha moments. So, and we talked about completely down to the end of the waterfront and what that looks like, that'll all be a design, but we'll be able to go phase 1 to completion. So, through our funding, exciting stuff.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's the eye on the, everybody's got their eye on that, and really, really neat. So looking forward to, and OTAC was there as well. So coincide, cohesiveness of streets and the boardwalk. So that's what I did in this last little bit. Again, so I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, because we won't see it till after then, and enjoy with your family. That's what it's about. And I'm looking forward to some turkey. So that's President Warren.
An exciting day today, a long day, and it's 8 o'clock, and one of our faster council meetings, but we seem kind of drained at this time. One of the things that I look forward to is the staff entertaining some of the comments, many of the comments, and suggestions for our upcoming Halloween town, and see what they kind of come up with. I was very explicit in saying the council is not going to micromanage and fix things. It's up to our staff to do that, and that's up to us to oversee any kinds of problems that might manifest from that, and listening to them and recommending the staff to go forward. So I'm looking forward to what staff comes up with those suggestions and concerns that several of our individuals had, our businesses had today in their testimonies, and actually in the past month. Another concern I had was, and I kind of slept through this in our goal setting deal. There was a lot of things kind of going on with that. But I have a big concern, and this is under kind of the way our long-term energy consumption. And I would kind of like to see us do a study on getting our fleet to all electric, because our fleet cars don't go over 30 miles a day, hardly ever. They're just in and out and in and out, and they get fueled up. And I just think it'd be a tremendous savings for the city. I know that with the federal government, again, is postured for clean energy. And it would be kind of nice to, this doesn't mean police cars, because they've got to be red hot and ready to go. So I,
Well, there's some
right,
pretty
Oh, I
impressive.
can't go, I gotta return.
exactly, after 30 miles.
Yeah, that would know.
So anyway, it means our fleet, and it might mean some of, a lot of our public works vehicles that don't get over, get out and do the 30 miles. I don't know where gas prices are gonna go, but I can't imagine that they're gonna get much cheaper. They might, but in a short term, they're going to go skyrocketing. I know that. And anyway, so I just thought I'd bring that up. I think it's a good suggestion. Otherwise, I'm going to make it.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
Councilor Lopez.
Okay, a number, the Riverwalk was a very good operation. We learned a lot. There are a few things that should be redone. One thing that was overlooked was access for a bunch of the areas for ambulances and work. And then that's when, and I brought this up, that we saw the 30-foot wide walkway, which was supposed to be a viewpoint from the road to the river, being changed to a 6-foot wide. That changes the fire worth, but that started me thinking, and we discussed this, connecting the waterfront, riverfront framework plan, connector plan, the industrial plan, the sewer plant, all these things are kind of together. And a lot of these things are going to take 25 years to, if we start right now, to implement. And since a lot of these plans were done before other things were known, before the government starting to show a lot of money for fixing things, I think all these things ought to be stopped, reviewed, modified to take care of both the government financing as well as the new restrictions and new requirements we have. It'd be nice if everything could be driven in and out. And the one decision the council is gonna make is coming on the connector plan. Do you come off Route 30, come through the waterfront into downtown, or do you come down Old Portland Road as we always do? It depends where you want to put businesses and what you want to show off. Because that the connector plan really didn't discuss. Having the business park in two pieces, if it's a true industrial park, there'll be some of the smaller businesses which will be servicing the other businesses. Typically, they'll end up being a 24/7 operation. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't want the forklift from company A to be wandering through the neighborhood to deliver a part to the big mill over there who needs it right away. So I think some of the, let's say, philosophy of this park has to be redone, because a lot of things have basically changed in the economy. We have rail, water, and road for some places. We have just road for others. If we start taking a look at the number of cars that are going to be down on the waterfront, people visiting the river, people kayaking, people going to stores. Do we have enough parking places and enough roadway to handle that? You've got to remember, we're going to have 18-wheelers delivering 2 boxes to the haberdashery We've got people running their barrels of beer, all of which affects this connector as a business lane, which was not part of the original design plan. Because a lot of the stuff just wasn't in place then. So I think it may be time to have a redo on what we have to do. We need it. We absolutely need a connector plan. We can't but I think we have to upgrade what it is. The fact we had that big cave in at the end of the lagoon, that really that piece of ground's a real problem. And if we lose that ground and that's the main way into town, it really hurts all the businesses and the people who live here. There are a couple of things that have gotten thrown into the mix. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I have still not been paid for my legal fees dealing with the city on a couple of these things. And my attorney asked, well, how's the Boise suit going? So we looked up the court records, and that's when I found out the city of St. Helens is being sued again, or a second time, for it's $136,000. Actually, the total amount that comes up is something like $144,000, $144,500. We partial finding is that the sale of the marijuana plant is illegal. The LLC marijuana business has been put into the suit, which it wasn't before. The thing that disturbs me most is the council was not informed of that. We had a report from our attorneys at the beginning of this month that the PUD power station was coming closer and there was no problems. The appeal, the fact that there's an appeal down in Salem, I was informed that unless the council said the attorneys were supposed to have an appeal, we've got a legal problem on procedure. I've gotten caught this week with a bunch of things that didn't match what I was told before. The legal business is in the courts. That's paper I'm not giving you. In fact, if everybody brings back their thumb drives that I gave you, I'll bring you the updates of the new legal. There's a whole lot more stuff that's happened in that legal, having very, very, very little to do with substations. And that scares me. Because interestingly enough, the people who are responsible are the council, we are the city. The staff is not, they're free of this, because they are under the council. The council has a limit that the insurance that are in our insurance cover will cover legal fees of $9,000 for the whole council for 1 year, every year that changes. And going back to monies in the police station, I picked up an article that said the average police station cost was $200 a square foot. Ours is about $400. The Oregon City Police Station goes between $540 to $400. Well, you could even get down to $335. Costs in the police station, square footage, seem to be very much controlled by what part of the country you live in. It doesn't seem to follow a particular, everybody pays $17 a square foot, that's a good police station. That doesn't seem to be the way to do it. So Matt, fighting that, he's got a strange battle because you just can't take an average of what's happening. And that's just how peculiar that business is. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your report. Counselor Chilton.
Oh, man, today's been a day. Well, I just wanted to start to talk about the little workshop that we had. I really enjoyed it and I felt like it was really a good direction and a good way for us to really focus on the direction of the city and city goals. I wanted to thank Rachel Berry and Matt Brown for really leading that for us today and keeping us on track. It was very helpful. So something I've done recently, I went and toured the Oregon City Police Facility, and I strongly encourage you, Topaz, to go tour it and talk to them, you know, especially if you're looking up numbers. From that tour, just walking the building, talking to the police chief about things that they've used in their new building and things they haven't used. we already have a huge cost savings in
I-
our own design.
I'm scheduled to go.
And
so.
Matt has worked very diligently on that, and we have lots of things that we're gonna be saving money on and making changes to after walking through and talking to other people about their experiences. So it's very helpful to do that. Some of the other things I've been doing, I've been talking with local business owners, continuing to open dialogue. And I was really thankful that some were here today and we were able to hear voices that are different than the typical people that come to these meetings. So it's nice to be able to hear from other people in the community and their experiences with things. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to talk with them. And then finally, I just want to reiterate that it's not my goal to destroy Halloween Town. Not at all. I come down here, I shop, I bring my kids, I attend things, I participate in events. Okay, it's not my goal at all. What I believe is that tourism needs an open, consistent, transparent evaluation. Reviews are normal, they're not attacks. That is a part of how you run a business, is reviewing and making sure that things are working as they should be. And then just noting that when tourism, you do see tourism come up in future meetings, because you will, we are still awaiting a staff committee report on tourism, which will help us analyze areas of growth. So that's not an attack on tourism. That is something that we are trying to do as a council, to be transparent and talk to our staff about needs and changes. That is what needs to happen. It's not an attack, just for the record. That's it.
Thank you for your report. I would go back after, Patrick, you. Give your report.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Let's see, the Planning Commission met, was that just last week?
Yes.
It was just last week, Tuesday. And some more annexations gonna be coming up. It's interesting, just a lot of little jinx, little pieces of land here and there along the highway at Old Portland Road. Just kind of interesting how things have developed over the years, and county ownership and our jurisdiction, port jurisdiction, and our staff is doing a great job on it. Matter of fact, it was a fact that there was an annexation request, over a decade ago? But we couldn't do it because the parcel was not contiguous with currency. So a recent annexation request that of a contiguous property made this other property contiguous. So it's just a fascinating process. So I just really appreciate the great work that our planning staff does, and our planning commission. We are still accepting applications for a position on the planning board until the 19th. So that's Friday, right? So Friday, we're accepting applications, and then we'll develop the process for a new commissioner to the Planning Commission. I think you see the Chronicle show that Popeyes is forging ahead, and also at the Planning Commission heard that Burger King has begun an official process to get the wheels rolling over on Highway 30 up by the old medical center. So stuff is happening on that end of town. And then a great time Saturday pulling weeds and planting plants up at Knobhill Park. Their semi-annual work party. They had a great response in the morning, particularly sponsored by the partnership with the Scapa Bay Watershed Council, which received a grant to put in a lot of plants along that Fifth Street Trail. And after heard a very positive comment from Caroline and Howard, who I think, if it weren't for Howard and Caroline, we would not have an Knobhill Nature Park. And so the part of the work that they've done to go on, that they saw that the Halloween Town was an opportunity to introduce people to the park. But again, as we evaluate, talk about things, just with the planning next year, how we go about making use of the park and that sort of thing. there are ways we can improve our process of planning, but it did open and provide an opportunity for people to come see Nob Nature Park, and perhaps next year we can do some kind of coordination to even provide the Nob Hill volunteers being available to act as interpreters or guides in case people had questions. So I just really commend Howard and Caroline for their continued work. And it's time, make your go back short, Councilor Morton.
Really? Yeah, and I thank you for saying something about Howard and Caroline. They took the bull by the horns. But one thing that you gotta know is that the council made that a nature park much before Howard and Caroline came along, and we started the Friends program at that time. And they've skyrocketed.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
It's possible without council.
So with that, my go back is the Parks Commission. Members of the Parks Commission are sponsoring a cleanup or a flip out or whatever you want to call it for the Botanical Garden this Saturday at 9 o'clock. And so anyone who's interested, bring your gloves and garden clippers, whatever, and if you show up between 9 and 10, yours truly will be, I hope you like apple fritters, because that's what I'm serving with your coffee or tea. And if you stay even till like about 1 o'clock or so, you get pizza. So it's should be a fun time and an enjoyable time, and you'll make a difference by clipping out some ivy and thistles and maybe a few blackberries, but you don't want to go close to them. Jerry Belcher's going to do that work.
Councilor Morton, I hope it's not the pizza that was left over from the meeting tonight.
It is.
Okay.
No.
Where's your?
Okay.